What's up gamers, Lecture here with the Advanced Gemma Autobomber build guide video for Torchlight Infinite. This is the follow-up to the starter guide, so be sure to check out that video first. We ended the last video with about 100 mil DPS in the mid-budget setup. Next I'll show you how to get up to 1 billion DPS with about 700 FE investment. Currently my character is just above 4 billion DPS with about 2k FE invested, so the build can keep scaling for all endgame activities. I tend to build my character's pretty glass cannon, but there are some options to sacrifice damage for survivability if you prefer. So let's deep dive into the advanced setup. The key mechanic with Ice Fire Fusion Gemma's hero traits is that Radiance and Extreme Fusion allow our cold damage to benefit from fire and lightning damage bonuses. We start with 9 fusion energy with Ice Fire Embrace and Glacial Flames. The max fusion energy count can be increased further with hero relics and memories. Prioritize a relic with a decent amount of hero memory effect. The second best stat would be max fusion energy per energy shield or frostfire duration, but I went with the cheap option here of max mana. Just make sure you get an engram with 3 open sockets. We can get up to 2 fusion energy per memory to scale our damage further. A high amount of movement speed is nice for zooming through maps. You can also go for defense as a cheaper option. It would probably cost at least 2000 FE to max out your hero memories and relics, so try to use budget options while you work on your other gear. The talent tree changes from the starter guide include dropping our excess cast speed above 15 casts per second, as well as stacking all the mana and intelligence nodes. This last medium talent is picked up to generate focus blessing stacks while we're mapping, although it won't work against bosses that don't freeze. You can drop down to 2 points in this node if you have excess cast speed. This medium talent will also give us 4 tenacity and 4 agility blessings as long as we're freezing. The warlock tree hasn't changed much. You can use your last few skill points on skill duration or stack more energy shield. Keep in mind that burning touch is a 44% damage increase, and translucent is a 73% damage increase due to Gemma's hero traits. None of the skills from the starter guide changed except for the aura stacking setup. Check out the starter guide or the character planner for the full details. Both aura links have selfishness, and the main link has stand as 1 to stack aura effect. You need a -8 sealed mana mod on your necklace in order to fit all these auras in your main link. You can replace the stand as 1 with a restrain if you still need more sealed mana reduction. The final 3 auras reserve life for Precise Seal Conversion. Precise Seal Conversion is an expensive buy from the market for at least 120 FE, but is necessary to fit the last 3 auras. The reason this works is because off the beaten track in the warlock tree sets the mana multiplier for support skills to 105. The regular seal conversion won't work here because the mana cost multiplier is in the effect of the skill and not the mana cost multiplier here. In fact, this mana cost multiplier gets increased from 100 to 105 in addition to the sealed mana cost multiplier in the effect of the skill. We now have 7 auras in this setup without needing magical source. Keep in mind that Frigid Domain affects enemies and not yourself, so it doesn't count towards the aura requirement for Lone Walker boots. Precise Elemental Resistance provides a ton of all-res with all the aura effects stacking. I was able to cap my resistances with just this and a few points in the Pact Spirit tree. The 525 energy requirement for this setup is a bit tight. You can drop a Selfishness or some of the supports from Soul Eating Circle or Mana Boil if you don't have enough energy. The first mid-budget upgrades you should get from the starter guide are 30% Restless Glacier Rings, Sage's Insight, and a corroded 12% True Sight armor. Then you should work on getting decently crafted wands. You don't have to get all the ideal tier 1 mods right away, but prioritize getting the cold damage per int, the +2 cold skill level, and the cast speed per int. You can always work on getting the perfect mods with a good corrode later on. I'll release a highlight video demonstrating how to craft one of these wands yourself. The last 2 crafted items are the helmet and the necklace. This helmet can be an expensive base to buy, so use Elder Sages if you're on a budget. We're going to be lacking erosion resistance, so make sure you pick it up with these 2 crafted items, along with the intelligence and aura effect. You need -8 sealed mana on the necklace to fit the final aura setup. Once you have decently crafted items, it's time to save up for the Precise Seal Conversion. Once you buy the Precise Seal Conversion, start saving up for an even bigger buy with the Lone Walker boots. Try to get at least 60 aura effect with the minimum 6 aura requirement. Remember, even though we have 7 auras in our final setup, Frigid Domain applies to enemies, so we're only being affected by 6 auras. If you must get 7 aura boots, you could try to fit in Magical Source as an extra aura. Eventually you can try to get a better Infinity with more than just Focus Strike. You can also choose to build survivability here if you really want to. Minus additional damage taken and additional defense work really well to improve survivability. Get increased barrier absorption with kinetic conversion for even more toughness. Just make sure you take off the guard support linked to Path of Flames if you want to go this route. One of the final purchases you can make are corroded restless glaciers with up to 45% additional cold damage against enemies. For pets in the Pact Spirit, you can decide to boost defense, offense, or drops. You can easily grab up to 20% all-res if you still need to cap. Make sure you grab a total of 60% mana regen to sustain your mana boil. Level 6 blue pets will increase the effect of your outer ring. This minus 15 additional damage taken is key for survivability. You can also boost the additional damage to 17%, as well as 14% additional drop quantity. I used a survival pet to get another minus 5 additional damage taken. Let's test out the DPS in my current setup. Now the training dummy does have a cap of 1 billion DPS here, and we kept this out very quickly. So I'll show you how to calculate your DPS if you're above this cap. Hit the training dummy for about 30 seconds. The longer you do the test, the more accurate your sustained DPS number will be. So I'm going to go into 30 seconds. Keeping my buffs up. Once you hit 30 seconds here, pause the game by going to the skill menu. Now we need a Spirit Magnus here to keep the training dummy active so it doesn't time out. So I'm going to equip the Summon Thunder Spirit here, activate it, and don't use the spacebar button to close this menu. If you use spacebar, it will end the training dummy test. You have to use this back button instead. So hit the back button, and sometimes the Thunder Spirit doesn't come out right away, so just go back in, turn it off and turn it back on, try it again. Thunder Spirit is out and hitting the training dummy. This will prevent the training dummy test from ending. Now we can just wait, and we're going to wait and just keep our eye out on this DPS number here, and once it drops below the 1 billion mark, that's when we will record the duration. And there you have it. The number drops below the 1 billion cap at 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So to calculate this, we take the training dummy DPS cap, which is 1 billion, and then we multiply that by the total duration of the test. So 2 minutes and 7 seconds, I'm going to convert this all to seconds, so that's going to be 127 seconds. And then you divide that by the time you actually spent hitting the training dummy, which we hit for 30 seconds. So that calculation brings us to about 4.2 billion DPS. That's all I have for this build. My character is pretty much maxed out save for some perfectly corroded items and super expensive hero relics and memories. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more Torchlight Infinite content, and feel free to stop by the live stream to hang out. Peace out and happy slaying.